It is your fault, not society's. It's your fault. Now, I'm going to address something that I've seen becoming more and more popular in the social discourse, especially among today's youth, where it's become sort of a common thing to blame society for a lot of social ills that we see. And although it is true that society in general is declining in many areas, I think it's time we look inward and try to take some personal responsibility, right? Because, nothing's going to change if nothing changes. And if you think about the nature of a society isn't just this abstract idea of, society, it's just there. What do you think society is? What do you think society is? All right, I'll leave that question to you. Think about that question. Now, let me tell you a story of a certain young man who has big dreams and aspirations. Ever since he was young, he wanted to be a fantastic person. He wanted to be great, right? He wanted to achieve a lot. He wanted to become wealthy, influential, powerful. He wanted to make big changes in the world and help people. But this man, when he got to a certain age and realized he had certain capabilities, he dabbled here and there. He was excited about learning to play the piano or maybe the guitar or maybe the flute or some random instrument, and he dabbled here and there. He realized he had some talent. He realized that he had some talent. And he made use of it sometimes, more often than not. But as he grew older, the advent of social media came along and he had more energy, but this social media thing seemed so appealing, so enticing. He had friends here and there that, immaturity kind of led him to spend a lot more time with them than he probably should have. And, he did that. And after a while, he started realizing that, hey, I could do this. I could make this change. I could do that. I could try to work on my temper. I could try to treat people better. I could try to be kind. I could try to be more compassionate, but he overlooked his conscience. He listened sometimes, but most of the times he overlooked his conscience. And so he became a man, and the man he became is nothing like the type of man he could have become. Now, he still has time, and he knows that, but instead of using that to his proper advantage and working more passionately toward bettering himself, he decides to put off that task in, the false view or the false reality that he has time, right? He accepts the false reality that he has time. And so he puts off improvement. He puts off progression. He puts off bettering himself. And soon enough, his parents start complaining, wondering what he's doing with his life. He becomes resentful because the people he wants to attract, he can't attract because he's not the man he could be. And little by little, his life wanes. And he realizes that people aren't respecting him. And so instead of looking inwardly and fixing himself, he begins to blame others, right? He looks at the sins of his parents when he was younger. Hey, Dad, where were you when I was going through this thing and that thing? Hey, Mom, how come you never showed me more attention and affection? Hey, sibling, why were you so mean to me? And he finds all these things to blame the people around him instead of looking inward. And as the days go by, he grows hardened. He becomes bitter day by day and self-sabotages. And that is displayed in his life. Instead of working on himself, he ponders and ponders and ponders and grows in resentment to the people around him and society at large. Now, this young man is me. Of course, not every detail of the story applies to me, but that's the general young man. This young man is you. This person is all of us. Right? I think it's about to pour. That's why I'm pausing, I'm listening. Yeah, but this young man is all of us. Anyway, and I want you to think for a second, back to that question I just posed. What is society? Because you can't go on forever just blaming everyone and everything. You can't spend your life blaming everything. You can't affect the external. What you can affect is the internal. And let me pose to you this idea. Society is not this grand, abstract, obscure thing. away from yourself. Society is made of various individuals. Now, when you begin to think about it like that, then you realize that the onus is on you to improve society. If you're angry with society, there's something you should do. It's something you should improve. It's something you should better. Society is made up of individual people. And if you're dissatisfied with society, if society is going downhill, it's because many individual people are making wrong decisions in their personal lives. Now, you who are so high and mighty, complaining and bitching about society, what have you done to improve your life? What have you done to improve the community around you, which then grows and affects the wider society? Because when it comes down to it, society is made up of people just like you and me. It's not society's fault. It's your fault. You need to look inward because you affect society more than you can think, young man, young woman. And it is when you begin to take radical responsibility for your decisions, your life, the outcome of your decisions, that is when society begins to make real improvement. You can make a real dent in society. A real dent in society. Listen, the power of one man is unimaginable. You can't explain it. The reason I'm able to speak freely in a culture with white people, Caucasians, people of different races, is because a man in the 1960s decided to speak up. The reason I'm able to be educated in a mixed school is because a man in the 1960s spoke up. Martin Luther King. That's the power of one man. He took radical responsibility, even when bishops of his time were influencing him and telling him not to, right? Just be okay with what you already have. Don't push for more. And it ended up killing him. But sometimes that's a sacrifice you must make to change the world. See, society is not just people as a whole, it's individuals. And if each individual decided to take up the responsibility that they know they should bear, society would be so much better for it. And America is supposed to be looking inward, introspecting, because we could be greater than we are. You could be much more than you are, but you refuse to look inward. You refuse to be good today. You'd rather be good tomorrow. That's Marcus Aurelius. What have you done to better society? You who are so high and mighty. You know, you complain about, oh, you know, the community's dying and you know, girls won't talk to guys and guys won't talk to girls. When was the last time you asked a girl out? When was the last time you were nice and cordial to the people who spoke to you? When was the last time you worked on your communication skills? When was the last time you asked your professor how their day was? Because you keep complaining about how snappy the people are around you, but what have you done to better their day? You see, it's time to stop playing the blame game, right? Because nothing changes if nothing changes, and society is made up of people, individuals, and you're a person, you're an individual. So if you don't change your life, and the other person doesn't change their life, and the other person doesn't change their life, soon enough, you'll have a very mediocre society. And I think that's what we're seeing now. And the only way to fix that, because there's no savior is coming. There's no human being apart from God himself who can save us, right? The power is within you. You can do all things. The power is within you. I believe that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's a call to responsibility. Young man, I call upon you because you're strong. You can do so much, so much. Don't waste your breath blaming people, blaming groups, blaming society, blaming past events, blaming your parents, blaming your siblings. Blame no one. Instead, take responsibility and make the changes you know you can, and then you will begin to see your life improve. It's your fault, not society's. And I don't want you to be mistaken. I'm not saying you should go wallow in self-pity right now. I'm saying you mark the issue, see what you've done wrong, see what you can do to help the situation, what you can do to fix your life, and then soon enough you'll begin to see the lives of the people around you change. And then maybe your world won't be so dismal, and society will be better for it. You can literally change society. You can literally change the world, but you have to believe it. This is Corbin Conversations. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Seek on. Seek on.